and a warm welcome to you on behalf of APAC News Network. Today, for this show, very before that, a very brief background about APAC. APAC is a media or the B2B media organization headquartered out of Noida, and we focus across government, healthcare, education, enterprise IT, and BFSI verticals in particular. So today, what we would like to start, maybe the best would be if you can give us an update about the Salesforce services and offerings, specifically at the current situation for the Indian market, and how the over the last 1.5 years during the pandemic, the pattern of IT consumption has also changed for enterprises. So this pattern of changing workloads, how the solutions are tuned for those changing workload patterns.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And I'm really happy to be here with all of you on behalf of Salesforce. Very interesting conversations, Rajni. The first thing that you spoke about is today's world, that is changing world, and what we call it as an expectation of success from anywhere. So this is the era where the organizations essentially are working in the era of success from anywhere, where employees mostly are working from home. Customers are interacting with the organizations mostly digitally on the channels of their preferences, the timings of their choice for engagements as well as transactions. As well as what is happening is the data that is getting collected with these interactions, transactions. Organizations are working towards generating a lot of intelligence or analysis out of that data for appropriate decision making. Now, against this backdrop, what is it that Salesforce provides? So, Salesforce provides Customer 360 platform. Now, what it does, it helps the organizations to put their customers at the center of their business. And it might be any kind of organization. It might be an organization in B2B, or it might be an organization in B2C business. Putting their customers or consumers at the center of business is extremely important for various aspects, for engaging with them, for letting the customers know about the brand, which is the marketing part, acquiring them through the sales effort, servicing them on the channels of choices through automation as well as through human interface is the servicing, omni-channel servicing aspect. Also, integrating whole lot of data which the organization has within the organization or externally. Consolidate that data systems, integrate them with the help of the integration capability of Salesforce. And at the same time, having the extended ecosystem, which is the partners of these organizations, be a part of overall business framework through community solutions are the capabilities that Salesforce brings to the table. At the same time, when I initially say customers' behaviors have changed, most of the businesses have tried to pivot themselves in doing transactions online. So capability for B2B businesses or B2C businesses of doing online commerce through Salesforce's commerce solution. Various capabilities Salesforce is providing to help the organizations put the customers at the center of their business. You also spoke about the industries. So Salesforce is actually bringing in a lot of solutions which are aligned to the specific needs of the industries. At the same time, when a lot of these changes are happening, the workforce, the extended ecosystem need to be completely enabled about the new age. And learning is essential for all the organizations. And that's why Salesforce also provides learning platform called Trailhead. All of these capabilities today need a comprehensive technology to analyze as well as predict some outcomes. So the artificial intelligence platform of Salesforce as well as the analytics platform of Salesforce provides the organizations to manage this entire data intelligently. So this, in summary, is an offering that Salesforce provides of Customer 360. Now, on top of this, in today's era, when we spoke about engagement or success from anywhere, in this success from anywhere world, Salesforce is bringing digital headquarters to the organizations where entire collaboration within the organization, automation across the functions of the organization, engagements will happen in a technology called as Slack, which is the digital headquarter for customers that Salesforce offers. So that is something which we have seen as emerging trends, Rajneesh, in the market, and what Salesforce provides as the capability to the organizations.
Thank you. I'll want you to speak more elaborately on Slack, and the context is basically see, if we look historically at Salesforce also, uh, maybe in your early days, especially on the CRM, you have been a pioneer of moving enterprises on cloud. From the beginning, Salesforce has been a sort of a cloud based company when you are providing the CRM solution only. Now, what we have seen again, looking back at the last 1.5 years during the pandemic, out of necessity, many organizations moved most of their applications and functions towards cloud. So, what we today have typically in an organization, they are working in a multi cloud environment. So, there will be certain applications on the public cloud platforms, maybe an Azure or AWS, maybe multiple such public cloud providers are there. Then there are even private clouds, more than one. Some applications might be on the edge, and that's this typical multi-cloud scenario. And then there will be certain applications or software managing these multi-cloud, what likes of Nutanix provides maybe. So, keeping in mind this complicated scenario of a multi cloud environment in an enterprise, what role is Slack playing specifically there, and what are his sort of differentiators, if I may ask?
Brilliant question. So the first thing that I said is digital headquarter. You very rightly pointed out that we are in an era where there are multiple systems, processes, departments, functions, people. Now, people are also in different categories. It's employees, it's customers, it's partners. Now, all of these things need to be brought at one place. To give you a very simple example, if service executive is working on resolving the issue of a particular customer, then the engagement is happening with the customer. However, the resolution probably needs to happen in consultation with an expert that may be internal to the organization, external to the organization. So, A, engagement and discussion with the customer, B, internally within the departments, and at the same time with systems, because customers' information might be residing in a particular system. So, getting the data moved between the system and people, and at the same time, to resolve a particular issue, there will be a workflow that is required, which is a process part for the execution of the engagement or the need of the customer. So, what we are seeing over here is there are people, there are processes, there are systems, and there are functions. All of these things coming together in an integrated manner. And that's the need of the hour. And that's precisely what you spoke about. Because the organizations would have different systems, transactional systems, analytical systems, engagement systems. However, all of these things with Slack come together in what we call it as a digital headquarter. And that is where the work happens. It is a platform which consolidates everything. It brings together people, which is employees, customers, partners, applications, integrations, and systems. All of these things are brought together at one single place with the help of this digital headquarter. And that is how Slack brings together all these elements and makes work a different experience for all these stakeholders. It makes it seamless. It makes it very collaborative. It makes it efficient and fast because it is integrated with multiple systems that you spoke about. So, in a nutshell, it truly creates that digital headquarter for organizations.
So one question here. So what you are explaining would require a certain amount of standardization across, as you said, people, processes, functions, and so two things. One, there are certain very domain specific processes or functions which are very specific to a particular domain. So when you are talking about that standardization, one, how do you take care of this domain specific nature? And the other challenge is many of these domains are very compliance driven. So there are a lot of regulatory, very specific regulatory compliances which you need to conform to. So when this certain level of standardization is required, how is that conformance with regulations being taken care of also?
Brilliant. I think there are a couple of important things I spoke about. One is industries. And as I initially spoke about, that we understand that customers are expecting from us certain deliverables which are very specific to their industries. And that's where Salesforce actually has industries footprint. Now, there are certain top focus industries that Salesforce has: manufacturing, financial services, healthcare, retail and consumer goods, telecom, media, entertainment, and few others. Because innovation today is happening at many places. It is happening in the new age companies, which are fintech companies, insurtech companies, education tech companies, health tech companies, everywhere. So Salesforce is bringing together the capabilities, which is very focused and delivers some specific capability to these verticals. And that's what you initially spoke about, that how can the organizations leverage the capabilities or the nuances which are specific to their verticals. So this is the way focus on industries is emerging. Now, the other part that you spoke about, the local compliances. Let me talk about what are those specific local compliances. Local compliances, if we kind of break the capability that the technology brings to the table, one of the most important parts is residency of the data. Now, what Salesforce has done with the help of its capability called Hyperforce, we have done fair bit of a geo expansion. And in India also, now we have our own Hyperforce instance. So our customers who are required to comply to local regulations of having local data residency, they actually can be compliant because we are here. Maybe banking customers, maybe insurance customers, communication customers, if they want to comply with these local regulations of storing the data according to the need of the law of the land, can now actually do it with Salesforce. So this is the way, by putting together the industry solutions for the help of our customers. At the same time, our platform capability allows the organizations to deliver the innovation that they would be wanting to deliver specific to their organization. Now, low code, no code, pro code, all the areas that we are hearing a lot. Salesforce provides the platform capability to the organizations to drive and deliver innovations with the help of all these platform capabilities of no-code platform, low-code platform, or pro-code platform, and build their innovations on these platforms also, but at the same time, leverage out-of-box industries or horizontal capabilities, and also at the same time, through Hyperforce, allowing the organizations to comply with the local regulations. So this is how actually Salesforce is allowing the organizations to deliver innovation, adopt customer 360 platform to put the customers at the center of their universe, and at the same time, meet the compliance of the regulation requirements.
Thanks. Another important aspect here is, again, as we are talking about this working from anywhere or connecting from anywhere, what that means is a lot of heterogeneous devices and systems are also coming into the network, and that sort of increases vulnerability and the cyber security threats because the exposure has enhanced. So, how is that cyber security aspect taken care of in this connecting from anywhere?
This is brilliant. Now, I just would like to bring your attention or draw your attention to core values of Salesforce. So there are four fundamental core values of Salesforce: trust, customer success, equality, and innovation. As you would have heard me, trust, number one focus. We know that customers rely on Salesforce for one of their most important assets, which is their information, which is the customer information. Salesforce creates a trusted infrastructure, not only infrastructure, but the processes, which are operational processes, and an appropriate transparency. So if I were to request you to go to a website called as trust.salesforce.com, all the customers would be able to see the status of the instance that they are leveraging for their operations. It is transparently depicted to them or communicated to them on this site. If there are any issues, the organizations can actually see that and also proactively hear it appropriately as per the processes and framework which have been put in place. At the same time, when we talk about the technology, there are appropriate mechanisms within the technology itself of appropriate encryptions, data at rest, as well as data in flight, so that it cannot be really tampered with. An access mechanism of who has the access to the data. It is the customer only who is the custodian of the data that they are kind of storing on the Salesforce infrastructure. So keeping in line with trust being the number one value, right technology infrastructure, right processes to manage the access as well as management of that infrastructure and appropriate transparency through trust.salesforce.com to communicate appropriately with the customers who are leveraging Salesforce as a solution are some of the things that Salesforce does because trust is number one value and number one focus for the organization. I hope it gives a little bit of an answer on that, Rajnish.
Yes, thanks. So now we talked about the technology aspect. Now, if we translate into the business aspect of this, so two situations I'd like to talk about. One, this connect from anywhere, though it was there post pandemic, this connect from anywhere, the aspect has, if I may say, expanded further. And two, you talked about the Slack. So now the Slack adoption also you talked about. So there were certain pre-pandemic SLAs you had with the existing customers, and once in the post-pandemic times, uh, their workload, how they consume technology, everything changed, and the Slack adoption and even this connecting from anywhere. So, how has that impacted those existing SLAs which were there pre-pandemic, and what has been the fundamental changes in those SLAs?
One of the things that I would now bring your attention to, Rajneesh, is the core benefit of the cloud. And that's what actually you alluded to. See, when we look at cloud, it essentially value that it brings to the table is that the organizations can focus on their business, the infrastructure and other requirements of technology will be taken care of by Salesforce in this case, because we actually provide that cloud infrastructure to the customer. And what are the elements of that? The underlying technology infrastructure, which includes essentially all the hardware elements of that, the operating system elements of that, the security infrastructure elements of that. All of these capabilities are taken care of by Salesforce. And I must say that initially also you spoke about, Rajnish, that customers actually are now moving on to cloud as a preferred way of leveraging technology after pandemic hit the businesses and all of us in the world. And that actually is something which is very important because customers now believe that they can focus on their business. Organizations like Salesforce can manage the infrastructure, which is highly scalable as per the need. Now, coming to the SLAs, the requirement of always on business continues to be given as a value by the cloud offering. And that's what Salesforce continues to work on, continues to strive on. So during the pandemic, as well as post pandemic, we have been working with our customer to manage the high growth or high demands of their business. We have various instances, right? We have the instances of people moving their businesses on online. So transactions on our online platform increasing leaps and bounds. We have been able to manage, provide those supports to maybe even the worldwide phenomenons like Black Friday, or those equivalents of that, the peak business days in India, maybe on the festival days or some other important days. And I'm so happy to say that because of this infrastructure and the value that cloud brings to the table, our customers have been able to run their business without disruptions even during the pandemic period, though the need of providing the hyperscale was high. But all our customers could continue to run their operations. And that's actually one of the values that Salesforce brings to the table and the cloud overall brings to the table for the organizations.
Thanks. And you mentioned a couple of instances about the Salesforce partner network, also, who is part of the ecosystem. Now,
Yep.
specifically, if I may ask, what's the go to market strategy that Salesforce follows, and what are the initiatives planned under that?
Very, very important thing, Rajnish. Partners in the ecosystem are extremely important because the innovations that the Salesforce platform brings to the customers, our partners actually help our customers realize those benefits and realize that innovation and realize that value. So there are consulting partners. At the same time, there are a lot of innovative partners who actually build their solutions on Salesforce platform and take those solutions to the customers for their adoption. And you must have heard about a program called an App Exchange. So App Exchange is a program that Salesforce has, where lots of innovative partners actually build the solutions on Salesforce platform, and those solutions are leveraged by our customers. So we actually have lots of solutions actually today on App Exchange. So partners of all sizes, partners of all types, consulting partner, implementation partner, app exchange partner, which are our ISV partner, are all very, very key components of our ecosystem. And we continue to work closely with them. And when we say work closely with them, they become part of this Salesforce partner community they get to hear from Salesforce experts, be a part of that Salesforce ecosystem and community where they can learn from Salesforce's expertise, contribute to that expertise to make our customers successful. So, in summary, first, partners are essential and important part of our ecosystem because they help us innovate. At the same time, they help our customers realize the innovation that Salesforce platform brings to the table. Different types of partners are there. Different scale and sizes of partners are there. For all of these partners, Salesforce is committed to providing appropriate support and grow along with them. And I spoke to you about the partner community where partners get to hear from Salesforce experts. They can engage and interact with Salesforce experts, and we grow together. So that's very important part of our ecosystem, Ashish.
Thanks. So coming now to the customers part, if I may ask more vertically information about the customers. Vertically, which are the top three, four verticals where you witness maximum traction, and very briefly, what sort of use cases do you see in these kind of verticals?
Fantastic. So a couple of things that I would want to talk about before specifically getting into the specific customers. See, today the business scenario or the overall environment is such that every organization is a tech organization, irrespective of which business that the organization is into. The organization might be in the manufacturing, it might be in the financial services, it might be in the communications. However, it is very clear that they have to be almost like a tech company also, because every company has multiple channels for organizations to interact with the customers. Everyone probably has an app, everyone has transactional systems, and everyone needs to deliver innovation with the help of technology. So, in our observation, every organization is focusing on innovation to be delivered with the help of technology and almost becoming a technology company. So we are seeing innovation happening across the board. Yes, vertically talking, we have seen innovations happening in financial services. We have seen innovations happening in manufacturing, automotive. We have seen happening in telecom, media, and entertainment. We have also seen that happening in healthcare. We have also seen that happening within the government organizations also. See, essentially, when the government organizations are working on providing citizen services or many other facets to make the functioning more efficient, there's a lot of innovation happening over there also. Every organization is working on mechanisms to integrate systems, functions, and at the same time, leverage data for better analysis, for better intelligence. So, this is what we have seen happening as innovation. There are some new age verticals which are got created on the back of technology as well as the impetus that pandemic situation provided. So we are talking about education tech, which is edtech, health tech, as well as the fintech companies. And that is what we have seen entirely happening on the back of technologies. Now, when you look at the use cases, let me start by telling you a little bit about maybe edtech companies. So an edtech company now puts student at the center of their business and managing the entire life cycle of that student. And what do we mean by entire life cycle of that student? A, acquisition of that student, onboarding of that student, managing the student's life cycle as a learner, and subsequently the other engagement parts are a student life cycle that an edtech company would look for. And this entirely is provided on Salesforce's innovative platform. When we look at, say, companies in automotive, the entire buying journey or the overall engagement of the consumers or customers with automotive company have changed. There is a whole lot of a digital engagement that we are seeing, online research, comparison, even the transactions of buying and subsequent servicing, as well as the overall experience that the customer has with the automotive companies is entirely becoming digital. So that earlier, when the customers in the automotive used to make dealership visits, have conversations physically, today most of them have become digital. Experiences have become digital. So it's a classical journey from earlier physical experience to combination of physical and digital, which is phygital, that has started happening in the automotive. In financial services, we are looking at companies providing the greatest possible turnaround time to their borrowers when it comes to the lending. Sub-minute approvals for the loans, disbursement, as well as the partnerships which are getting built. So, for example, I'm doing my transaction on an e-commerce site, but my loan is provided by some other financial services provider. All of these are happening in real time with the help of platforms like Salesforce. Even the companies in the public sector, like, say, BPCL, decided to change the way in which they connect with their consumers. And they have their consumers or customers in various categories, depending on what kind of customers are they engaging with or provide servicing. It might be a B2C LPG customer, it might be a B2B customer on aviation. With the help of Salesforce kind of a solution, the entire digital experience is being created. I also earlier spoke to you about EdTech. The companies like Byju's are providing that seamless student life cycle. We also, when we are talking about the manufacturing, very recently we actually had an announcement that JSW standardized on Salesforce platform to provide that excellent and seamless and standardized experience to their customers. So several use cases, some of the representative ones, Rajneesh, I thought I would mention over here, but we are seeing innovative use cases getting delivered across the verticals that I earlier spoke about on Salesforce platform. And again, which is helping the organizations put the customer at the center of their universe, leverage data, integrate systems and functions, and bring all of these things in this new digital age.
So, two very important and interesting things you mentioned here. One was that digital part in some of the use cases, and what is emerging. This looks like to be the reality even going forward. Everything might not be. Things would improve. Definitely, some part of the work would go back to physical mode, but definitely not 100% of it would be. So when we will have this combination of physical and virtual, one challenge remains when you are talking about integration of the functions, integration of functions and processes. So how would enterprises sort of formulate the policies around? There will be certain process or even parts of the processes which might be physical, and the remaining might be virtual. So how do you integrate processes and functions in this digital world? And especially other important thing is you talked about some of the deliverables have to happen real time, um, really. And also you mentioned about the analyzing the data in many cases is important because you need to have very real time insights for better business productivity. Now in this digital thing in real time and deriving those meaningful insights, how do you manage all these things together?
This is really brilliant question, and these are the real requirements of the businesses today. The first thing that you spoke about is even when, or even if we now come back to offices opening scenario and what we call it as a physical world, the consumer experience, customer behavior, and the digital engagements are not going to change. And you're absolutely right. Integration plays an important role over here. Talking about Salesforce, with our solution of Integration Cloud, we really help organizations create functions, processes, and systems, or bring all of these things together. Let me give you a very simple example. Organizations can create API hub. It's a little bit of a technical term. But what this helps organization in doing is at the business process level, connect with different entities. And what different entities are? It might be different functions and different departments within the same organization, or it might be different organizations itself. I gave you some very simple example that the buying is happening on the e-commerce website, but loan is provided by a financial services company. And that's a classic scenario of integration. In the financial services, again, with the newer things of where the organizations are providing seamless experience across the board, integration plays an important role. And yes, integration cloud of Salesforce helps the organizations bring systems and data together because that is extremely important to have a seamless process delivered and the greatest experience delivered to the end customer. The other part that you spoke about is data. There is huge amount of data and the real time. Let me give you a very simple example. I'm a sales executive. I am going to engage with the customer. And in real time, if I get to know that this customer probably is a prospect for a particular upsell or cross-sell, and if that offer gets delivered to me in real time on whichever device I'm using, I might be using my laptop or I might be using my mobile device. How does this become possible? This becomes possible with the help of technology called as artificial intelligence that Salesforce delivers. So, in each and every business capability that we provide, artificial intelligence is embedded part of the platform itself. The example that I gave to you, that a salesperson interacting with the customer. At the same time, if the salesperson wants to identify which are the top customers that he or she should focus on, so that there is a maximum probability of closing the deal, that information is also provided in real time to the salesperson. Same case can happen in the world of service, as well as marketing, as well as commerce. The real time insights, either to the stakeholders like customer support executive or directly to the customers, are also delivered using these capabilities delivered by the artificial intelligence Einstein platform of Salesforce and delivered in real time to all the right stakeholders. And that surely is going to add huge value to the customers themselves, as well as the stakeholders like sales, service, marketing executives. And yes, that's really going to be the game changer going forward. So this is how capabilities of integration, data analysis, artificial intelligence from Salesforce will be helping all the stakeholders get the real-time insights, do the functions which are seamless across the functions, departments, or organizations.
Thanks. That was very comprehensive. Another business aspect I'd like to touch upon, and especially again related to this last 1.5 years, from the Salesforce and your partner's perspective, who does the selling, how did you balance between, was it more focus on the existing customers only and looking more at upselling or cross-selling there, sort of broadening the depth of the engagement with those existing customers, balancing these vis-a-vis acquiring newer customers? So what was the focus?
I think we were responding to the market requirements and what the customers were asking us to do. Let me tell you what. Customers are actually, first of all, asking us to deliver the innovation which will help them tide over this crisis. And that is the time when actually Salesforce delivered some solutions like work.com, just to give you a very specific example. And this was something which was supposed to help customers manage the work during the pandemic times, because managing the shift, managing the safety of the employees, as well as the customer experience was extremely important. So Salesforce responded by bringing product which will address the need of the customers. At the same time, there was an expectation and demand from the organizations which probably were not Salesforce customer at this point in time, but they were asking us about the solutions. A, to manage business from anywhere for their various functions, ability for their salespeople to sell from anywhere, ability for the sales executives to service from anywhere, for marketers to market from anywhere. And we actually were providing the solutions which actually would help these organizations. Same time, the existing customers to respond to the need of the hour were quickly changing their business processes. To give you some specific examples, there were organizations which were required overnight to change some business processes with their customers for the benefit of the customers. And those were sometimes by regulation or by the need of the hour. So, for example, in financial services, there was moratorium. Now, that had to be executed. And we were working with our customers so that they can leverage our platform to ensure that they manage all these business process changes in shortest possible time. So it was Rajnish really the combination. We were working with our existing customers by bringing new product altogether, helping them tide over the difficult times of pandemic. At the same time, helping our customers to succeed in this work from anywhere, business from anywhere, or success from anywhere world, and also be agile to respond to the need of the market. At the same time, to the organizations which were looking for solutions to work in this new era, where some of them wanted to really start overnight, get their businesses focused on online as the mode of business with the customers. And we continue that working. And we work with such engagements or such customers also. So it was a very nice combination of what demands were coming in from our existing customers, and at the same time, the new age expectations which were coming from the market and various organizations in general.
Thanks. So last, would like to conclude with we have talked about the likely scenario. So if we look forward for the next 3 to 4 quarters, and if I may ask from a Salesforce perspective, what are going to be the key focus areas that can be in terms of services, solutions, or other expansion? What are going to be your key focus areas?
Yeah. So Salesforce globally, and initially only I spoke to you about the value. Innovation continues to be the focus. Trust, I already spoke about, customer success, equality. One of the other areas for focus for Salesforce has always been our philanthropic model, which is our 111 model. Now, that 111 model is the one that we believe that business can do better for the society, right? And it is product, equity, and employees' time, which essentially are provided to community in large. And Salesforce would continue with that spirit. From a perspective of innovation, Salesforce will continue to innovate on its products and solutions to help our customers with the new age requirements. Customers keep on asking us about artificial intelligence, ability to manage large amount of data, get the best intelligence out of that. We will continue to provide them that. Customers keep asking us about the tools and capabilities to provide the best experience to their customers. We continue to provide them that. Not only from a product solutions and our ecosystem perspective, we also work with customers through some of the offerings called as Ignite, where we collaboratively work with the customers so that long-term roadmap of how the customers would be successful can be created, and an appropriate roadmap of the right solutions for that vision can be envisioned together with the customer. So Salesforce will continue to also work on the overall growth in a country like India. When we talk about India, we actually have a fairly comprehensive COE. One of the largest outside of the US is in India. We will continue to focus on that. So focus on innovation, innovative product, 111, which is philanthropic platform, as well as hyper focus on our customers' success, our geo expansion growth of data centers with the help of Hyperforce are going to be some of the important areas of consideration for Salesforce. And we will continue to see this growth momentum.
Thanks a lot. Greatly appreciate you taking out your time today. Thank you and have a great day.
Enjoyed having conversation with you, Rajneesh. It was very,
Thank you.
very insightful conversation. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you.